Let's go to our next topic. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has suspended flights from Nigeria over growing concerns about the spread of Omicron variant of the COVID-19. The travel restrictions, however, exempt non-nationals who had spent a period of no less than 14 days in another country from which they are allowed to come to Saudi Arabia. According to an official statement released by the Kingdom's General Authority of Civil Aviation, GACA, failure to comply with the instruction will be deemed as an explicit violation of government orders. The GACA warns that legal procedures will be initiated against violators. Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates, UAE, General Civil Aviation Authority has written to the Nigerian Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, appealing that the Nigerian government should restore Emirates Airlines' 21 weekly flights to Nigeria. In a letter dated December 10, 2021, the UAE expressed sadness that the Nigerian federal government withdrew the winter schedule because UAE refused to allow AirPC's request for 3 flights a week slot at Sharjah Airport. Joining us right now to discuss these matters is an aviation expert and former spokesperson of the defunct Nigerian Airways, Chris Aligbe. Mr. Aligbe, thank you very much for joining us. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Ruben. Good afternoon.
Mr. Aligbe, from Patito's gang to This Day Live. It's good to have you here. Well, very quickly, let's deal first of all with these attempts by various countries banning travels from Nigeria. Canada, United Kingdom, Indonesia, and now Saudi Arabia. And some people have been arguing very strongly that, look, Nigeria is not the source of Omicron, COVID-19. Africa, South Africa, is not the source of Omicron. This is a global issue that requires global solidarity. And those people who have been arguing patriotically insist that there should be reciprocity, that Nigeria should ban travels from these countries that don't want to see Nigerians. What do you think?
Thank you, Doc. Those who are arguing reciprocity are on point because that's the standard practice in international relations. The reciprocity principle, it should be absolute. There's something we used to call reciprocity absolute, and that's what should be applied. But then let's look at it, Ruben. The COVID-19 is a global pandemic. It's an event of straight human tragedy. But for countries to weaponize an event that is of global human tragedy to a point that it becomes a weapon to be put into marketplace in the aviation sector is very reprehensible. And that's what they have done. Whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's UAE, whether it's Canada, whether it's UK. They don't have a specific reason to do this. No matter what our circumstances are, we are a sovereign nation. It's a violation of our sovereignty. It's an attack on our national sovereignty. We have bilateral air service agreement with them, and the principles are there. If you are not going to obey it, then you don't expect us to obey it. You cannot, via the back door, using an event of a global human tragedy, which is COVID, to develop a strategy that makes you to crowd out the space, the market space in aviation, and then begin to ban countries. And you wake up and ban Nigeria for no just cause. They do not have enough reason to do what they are doing. And the worst is, I heard you say UAE wrote the aviation minister asking that Nigeria should consider returning the winter schedule of Emirates. Look, Emirates belonged 100% to UAE. Sharjah, the airports belong to UAE. They are not private airports. Handlers in UAE, the Dinata, they are all government. So whatever happens whatever happens with any of those organizations has the government input. So the government cannot impute in such a major decision as to undermine the bilateral air service agreement Nigeria has with UAE, and then turn around and write a letter asking Nigeria to put back the winter schedule. What Nigeria has done is absolutely right. Nobody can fault it. Anybody faulting it does not know what he's talking about. If they are Nigerians, sadly, they don't understand that it's an assault of our national sovereignty. That's what I have to say.
Well, Mr. Aligbe, on the issue of reciprocity, I mean, it was reported in some of the papers by 10 a.m. today, Sunday, December 12, that the Nigerian government had already said, well, with UK, with Canada, with Saudi Arabia, and every other country that has placed Nigeria on the red list, Nigeria will place those countries also on the red list. But there are some people who have argued to say, well, who gets hurt, really, on the other side? Okay, what's that point again about pacta servanda? You know, how you defend your country. Pacta sunt servanda. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Prof. You know, so when you do that, if you get hurt, who bears the brunt? In this particular case, can Nigeria afford to go that way?
Go backwards on that. The fact of the matter is that all countries that have put Nigeria on the red list, Nigeria should put them on the red list. I hear like a country like UK say they are not coming to carry Nigerians, they are coming to carry their citizens. They have a right to carry their citizens, but not on scheduled flights. If they want to come in here, they should apply for special flight on to come and take away their citizens. They have a right. Nigeria will not stop them and cannot stop them. But to continue on scheduled operation when they have taken the decision they have taken is unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and I think government should move ahead and do what they should do. You see, this is a warning for what is coming. Ruben, the airlines industry started with a bilateral service agreement. Later, we moved to MASA, multilateral service agreement. There are open skies here and there. And when BASA was a major, an instrument for control, but when BASA floated away and we came to MASA, open skies, because open skies offers great opportunity for dominance by the big carriers or legacy carriers. It gives a lot of advantages to them. We are now talking about slots. Just imagine UAE. Arik suffered this issue of slot years ago. I hope people will remember when the British Airport Authority banned Arik. They didn't ban Arik, but they said, look, if he wanted a slot, he should pay a whooping amount of money, about £1.5 million, to buy slots from BMI in order to operate Abuja Heathrow. So slots has become an instrument for market dominance or crowding out other airlines. That time, when they did it, Odua, credit to her, Stella Odua was firm. She wanted to take a reprisal on British Airways. But of course, the British government brought the full weight of its diplomatic strength on the government to the point that there was a contact between the two governments at the level of the President and British Prime Minister. That was how Odua got laid off. And then the then minister, if you can remember, Ojo Maduekwe said Nigeria cannot sacrifice the relationship because of a private airline. That was what he said. But today, we are taking a decision, and it's excellent that the present government has taken this decision. Air Peace is a private airline, but Air Peace is a citizen of Nigeria and should be protected. And so when people talk about level playing field, this is the level playing field. Protect a national flag carrier if you have one. Protect a private flag carrier, Nigerian private flag carrier, when it's operating. And that is the right thing to do. I don't think anybody should rescind that, Doc.
Well, Air Peace has already written a letter to the Minister of Aviation and specifically is asking for an apology from the GACA of the United Arab Emirates. And it's also saying that clearly that lies were told against Air Peace, that Air Peace has not been given the opportunity to operate into the Dubai International Airport. I think that is called DXB. And also that even the 3 slots given to Air Peace to Sharjah, that there have been issues with that. Now, on the other side, the Dubai authorities, they've also written to the Nigerian government. But you are saying that Nigeria should stand by Air Peace. What should be the specific things that we should be asking for with regard to the bilateral air services agreement between Nigeria and the UAE? And why is it that there's always a problem with Nigeria's BASA agreements? Is it lack of capacity on our side or the failure of the authorities to do the right things? And do you think that the Nigerian authorities in this particular regard have been unfair to the Nigerian side? In this regard, Air Peace.
Yes, Dr. Abati, thank you. You see, these challenges came up very much since the demise, unfortunate demise of Nigeria Airways. When it existed, these nonsense were not happening because people knew what they are supposed to do. They knew their onions. There were staff that were deft in their understanding of bilateral air services agreement and relationships in negotiations. But what has happened and what we should guard against now is that when we are entering into such relationship, we must be clear, we must be specific in terms of the airport of operation. We must now state in our bilateral service agreement, whatever agreement we are reaching and what we have reached, what we have today, we should review it. There are 2 flagship airports in Nigeria, Lagos and Abuja. There are 2 flagship airports in UAE, Dubai and Sharjah. And so, whatever, those 2 must be available in terms of slots. And if you don't give slots to our airline on any of them, you don't have slots on any of our major flagships. That is what may have been missing in the agreements we have reached before. But what has happened is that because no major airline has operated out of the country since the end of Nigeria Airways, and that recant that started, APC is just coming. That's why a lot of knowledge has been lost. But we thank God that we have a minister who is an industry person, a professional, and he knows what it is. And he has some staff. NCAA, I keep telling people, NCAA, the DG NCAA was an ICAO staff. He worked in ICAO, and he knows his onions about ICAO. And there's no way anybody can close his eyes on that. But many of us in the industry, stakeholders, forget about NCAA, forget even about the ministry, many stakeholders understand perfectly that what is being done is very discriminatory against Nigeria and is an assault on our sovereignty. And we need to stay where we are staying for now until these things are corrected. Because if successfully we are praying that we have a national flag carrier, these things will come up. And when these things will come up, if we don't take care, we'll be on the losing end. Why would APIS not be granted a right? There's something they called the new entry carriers slots that are reserved. If you're a new entrant, there are slots that are reserved for you as a new entrant coming from a country where there are bilateral service agreements. There are things they call grandfather rights. There are things they call new entrant rights. APIS has a right for the new entrant right, and they should give it to them in Dubai. And remember, let's see, Dubai is a destination many people globally want to go to. If you remove an airline from Dubai, Dubai airport, and send it elsewhere, first and foremost, that person has lost market. You have cheated that airline out of the market situation because that's the destination people want to go to.
Well, no, except that Sharjah, the Sharjah airport is just a few minutes away from the Dubai International. But the Dubai authorities, they are now saying that, Air Peace should pick any other airport far away from Dubai. And are you saying that the Nigerian government should not accept that as an offer?
Emirates should pick any airport. Emirates should pick any airport outside Lagos and Abuja. They can pick Kano. They can pick Port Harcourt. That is, look, Doc, it is quid pro quo. That's what it is. Absolute reciprocity. So that's what it should be. I don't think we should allow ourselves to be cheated out. If Emirates succeeds in what it's doing, Emirates and the Dubai government, if they succeed with what they are doing, they are going to continue to do it, and other countries will do it. We should not accept it.
Okay. Mr. Aligbe, you are here. Adi Sirika, the Minister of Aviation, has been talking about Nigeria Air. There is that other issue with Nigeria Eagle that Omicron has been talking about. You are an old staff of Nigeria Airways, spokesperson of Nigeria Airways. What's your reaction to all of this about a new national carrier and all the politics about business outline case and Nigeria Air coming on stream or a Nigerian Eagle? And where does all of that, where does it leave people like you who work for Nigeria Airways whose pensions are probably not being paid? Maybe you are one of the lucky ones because you look good. It looks like your own pension is not affected.
Well, yes, it is true. Some of my colleagues have not received anything. I don't know whether it is pension or pay off. Pensions are not usually pay off. You earn pension until you are dead. But we've been cheated out, but let's not, since that's not the issue, we will not dwell on it. But let me tell you, I've said it over time. You see the Nigerian Eagle thing that ANCOM is pushing. It will never be a success. I told ANCOM when they went into the airline subsector to go and seize Arik and Aero that they are undertakers, that they will manage those two airlines to death. And that's what they did. They took over Arik with 10 operational aircraft. Today, Arik has no single operational aircraft. And they want to float another airline out of the death, the ashes of what they have mismanaged. Arik today is worse than what it was when AMCON took it over. We should face stark reality. That's what this country is. A time has come where we should tell ourselves the truth. AMCON has no business going into the airline subsector. And the earlier it gets out of that place, the better for this whole country. All this drama about NG, we are going to float to recover our money. AMCON went in there to pay debts. He probably have paid debts. AMCON has probably have paid debts only to the banks, not to the agencies, not to FAN, not to NAMA, not to NCAA, and he wants to float another airline. And some people will say, oh, they should allow it to float airline. You are owing. You say you invested. Who told you to go and invest? You are not an airline manager. So, NG, National Eagle, is dead on arrival. I wish they could give them an AOC to operate. The aircraft, they will run into legal problems. That's what I know being in the industry. I worked in Nigeria Airways. I saw the challenges we had when we ran into some legal issues with aircraft and whatever. But that is a different thing. If they like, let them go ahead. But it's the taxpayers' money that is being wasted. The earlier and contest itself swallows his pride and say, look, let us get out of this place. We have no business being in this place because doing it better for everybody. In terms of Nigeria Air, like I always say, I watch. I don't work with the ministry, but I try to get my information. I sincerely pray and believe that it will come on stream, because I know, from the little I know, from what I have found out, the ministry, the government is serious about it. Yes, there have been some delays, unfortunately, for various reasons with COVID-19 and whatever. But what is happening today shows we tell all Nigerians, all of us, that we need a major flag carrier. Look at Air Peace. With all its efforts, it's being treated the way it's being treated. If it is a flag carrier with a modicum of national investment, like federal government sovereign cover, which is 5%. If we have that, they will not dare treat that airline the way they are treating Air Peace. But I thank God because the government has come out to defend Air Peace, a private carrier. It's not the question of leaving it to itself. And I don't think any such carrier, once it's been designated by the government to fly to a destination, the government should stand firm to defend it. What happened to Arik some years ago should not happen. I thank God that it's not happening to Air Peace because, one, Doc, you have a professional as a minister. Two, most of you have a president that cannot be pushed around. On this issue, you don't have that, as happened before, when the British Prime Minister had to call, and then Odua was told to step down in what she was going to do, and the then foreign minister said, we cannot sacrifice Nigeria's relationship, years of relationship, just on the platform of a private carrier. That's not how to do it. Touch any other country's private property, and you see what that country will do with you. So time has come for us. Is a new beginning, is a wake up, and I think what we have done is point blank and appropriate.
Just before we go, let me ask you, the travel and tourism industry appears to be suffering from a hammer blow on account not just of the coronavirus, but also specifically of Omicron, which would seem to have upended everything at a time when the global economy was recovering. How much of a hammer blow is it, not just locally, but also internationally? And what do you think that the aviation sector perhaps we need to do to protect itself? Or is the sector helpless?
Well, usually when such things happen, that sector, the tourism and travel sectors are the hardest hit whenever it comes. That is why you always have the IATA, International Air Transport Association, standing up to its feet and telling the whole world that this is not what it should be. But countries will do what they want to do, but they also have realized that they don't need to allow the travel industry to go to the dogs. So I think that nations are aware of the importance of such things, of that sector to the economy. And so they're being a bit careful. At the initial time, what happens is everybody gets jittery. You can see that much of the actions being taken now by nations, much of the actions being taken down there are actions arising out of the initial fright. They don't even know what Omicron is. They've not found out what Omicron is, how deadly it is, whether it's deadlier than the past ones. It is now that begin to sit back and say, how many persons have died at the Omicron thing? They don't know as at now. So they say it's scientific. What is scientific about it when you have not grappled with the actual thing that is happening? You say it came from South Africa. Up to now, they don't know where it came from. It didn't come from South Africa. They have not found anything. So it's a jittery, an action that came out of fright. But I think after the initial fright, they will sit down and begin to reassess the positions they have taken. But I think it will not take too long before they will realize that they need to put again the travel industry back on stream. And that they will do. That's what I know, because the contribution of that sector, the travel and tourism, to the economies of various countries is so humongous that you cannot afford to push it aside.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chris Aligbe, for joining us on This Day Live on Sunday here on the Arise News channel. Thank you very much indeed.